over the course of the last 10 years, I definitely lost myself a lot. There's a lot of who am I and what actually makes me happy and what lights me.
Mm,
I was in survival mode for so long
mm.
that I kind of forgot how to enjoy life.
My name is Kevin McIntosh, and this is The Closing Table, where we talk to experts about their experience in real estate all across the country. Let's go. Welcome back to The Closing Table. Please pull up a seat and join us here. My name is Kevin McIntosh, and on this episode, we have the pleasure of speaking with Brooke Baenen. How you doing, Brooke?
I am doing great. How are you doing?
Just fantastic. Thank you for being here on The Closing Table and to discuss some of your experience and insights in real estate. So
Yeah.
I see that you have attended college, both undergrad and graduate school for political science. That's
Yes.
very, very interesting to me. Can you explain how you go from a major in political science, both undergrad and graduate, to where you are right now? Let's talk about that story.
We only have a half hour, right?
However you want to give it to us, we here.
Okay. Basically it started out, I've always been that person who wanted to help other people.
Mm-hmm.
I always loved volunteering. I loved charity work. I was this strange, high schooler who was obsessed with politics and how the world worked. And I definitely, when I started college, I went to St. Norbert, which is kind of a local college around here. I'm from Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Okay. That's a private Catholic school, correct?
Yeah. Yes, and it's an amazing school around here. We're really blessed to have it be so
Nice.
close. And I wasn't sure what direction I wanted to go. I was kind of leaning towards being a human rights attorney.
Hmm.
But St. Norbert's doesn't have necessarily a pre-law program. So then I went into political science because that's what they suggested. And I ended up falling in love with the whole public policy, nonprofit world. And I had an amazing professor there, Grazia Viorol, who, she did a lot of work, in other countries and with nonprofits and charities and non-governmental organizations. And she kind of steered me towards, not necessarily not going to law school, but more into that. Well, why don't you get your master's degree in, public policy, political science? Because I think that was what my passion was. And definitely the dream was, to work for like the United Nations or something like that. So then I got a full scholarship to Marquette. So obviously that was a decision to go there.
Right? Oh.
And it was a great time. I went there when Dwayne Wade went there.
What? It was so random. When I saw Marquette, I thought of Dwayne Wade, but I was like, what? That's crazy. That's what's up. I know that was a nice time.
Oh my God.
Man.
We went to the Final Four. It was amazing. It was crazy time. It was so fun. But, obviously he was a little bit younger than me. We didn't have any classes. Because they asked me, Mom, did you have classes with him? I'm like, no, honey, we didn't. But
Nice.
so, then I graduated with that and I ended up working for the city of Green Bay. Actually, I started working for the Green Bay School District and being their grant writer and getting money going. Because I know probably the audience doesn't know a lot about Green Bay. Everyone knows about cheese and Packers.
Yeah.
But, we definitely have we're not a huge city, probably within the metropolitan area. I don't know. I'd say maybe 200,000, maybe.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We have a diverse population, and the Green Bay School District, I was really helping them get their after school programs started because, there's a huge need for that. A lot of working parents, a lot of single parents, and, kids just need a safe place to go. So I got really into that. And then there was an opening at the city of Green Bay, City Hall, to be their grants administrator.
Nice.
And one of the biggest things I did there was manage all the federal funding for housing. It was, low income, at risk populations and housing and creating that. So I worked with a ton of organizations in Green Bay that had to do with, creating affordable housing, creating quality affordable housing for low income people. And then I got married.
Why did your tone switch up like that?
Because I'm not, let's put it this way, I'm not married anymore.
Okay. I'm sorry to hear
But
that.
no, my ex-husband's family owns a home building company. His dad started it in 1979, Tursky Construction. They're amazing, beautiful homes. And it just so happened, my ex-husband was the foreman on the framing crew. And of course, it was kind of the idea that we were going to take over the business.
Right.
So I transitioned from my work with the city of Green Bay into a different area of housing, which was, building custom homes. And I still, definitely was involved in my charity and volunteer work, and, still had a passion for that, but then, had two children running this business. And unfortunately, after 10 years, my husband and I, got a divorce, and it was kind of like, okay, my father-in-law, I still call him my father-in-law because Mark is amazing. And we still do together and do deals together. And, he was kind of like, Brooke, I don't really know what what is going to be going forward for my business. There was some issues with my ex-husband. He has some addiction issues and some mental health issues. So, he wasn't really sure. So he's like, I don't want to say you have to leave, but, maybe it would be best for you to look for something else.
Got you.
And I guess I wasn't really sure where to go, obviously, in the midst of divorce and being a single parent and, stressful. It was like, do I go back to, my nonprofit roots? But what do I do? I have these two young kids. Yeah. I need something flexible. And a good friend of mine who worked for Keller Williams suggested I become a realtor. And I was kind of like, I don't know if I'd be good at that. And, it was really funny because she just said, well, what do you think you've been doing for the last 10 years? And I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been this just before they were built.
Right.
For the construction company, I did all the estimating. I, held the customer's hand through, picking out all the different selections, like plumbing fixtures and lighting fixtures.
Okay.
And, keeping them on budget. And so, yeah, that's basically what I was doing. So I took my test, and about 5 years ago became a licensed realtor.
Okay.
I started on a team at Keller Williams, and, I'm grateful for that experience because, I didn't even know how to open a lockbox. We have these electronic boxes, and I was like, I don't.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was. And so I'm really grateful. But then about 2.5 years into it, I was recruited to go to EXP and kind of do everything on my own. Now EXP Realty is really, I love it. It's all virtual, so we don't have any physical buildings.
Right. Okay.
It's a lot more. I mean, it's not for everyone because obviously, you really have to be a self-starter. You have to be motivated. You have to kind of do things on your own.
Correct.
But the workers are great. I love it there. And the whole reason I switched is because one of our state's biggest hard money lenders, called Best REI Funding, shout out to Jeff and Derek.
Okay.
They were looking for a realtor to kind of partner with, because obviously, I don't know why, but I think investors and realtors, there's kind of a disconnect between the two. Like we're in competition, and their whole idea was that, listen, some people want to work with realtors, some people want to work with investors. Why don't we bridge the gap? And, I'm able to talk to people with them. If someone is in a situation where they need to sell, they're behind on their mortgage or a divorce or a death, and they are just like, we just need to sell. We want to sell for cash. We don't want to deal with, pitchers in MLS and this and that, yeah, just, so we kind of work together. I work with a lot of investors,
Mm-hmm.
wholesalers.
Yep.
It's a lot of fun. It's a whole different world. We can talk about that if you want, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of my meandering path into real estate.
Nice, nice. Very interesting. I mean, you've been through a lot,
Mhm.
obviously, with your relationship, your kids, switching careers and things of that nature, and then taking that plunge to go to real estate, to be a realtor and things of that nature. Especially with all the responsibilities that you had at the time. I know that was such a leap of faith.
Mhm.
What really I don't want to say what motivated you, but what really kept you up to believe like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to like get the income for my family now. Like, what was the driving force to that besides obviously your kids and things?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very lucky and very blessed. I have a lot of amazing people behind me. My parents are super supportive. I
Hmm.
have great, you know, and yeah, of course, divorce is always tough. And then you add divorce with some of the elements I had, makes it even tougher.
Nice.
And, there was definitely a lot of days where I thought I'm a complete failure.
Yeah,
I can do
I
this.
understand.
Let's face it, when you start real estate, it's not, oh, look, bam, I got buyers.
Exactly.
It took about, it took about 6 months before I got my first closing. It was,
Mm.
I had to swallow my pride and rely
Hmm.
on some help from other people
Hmm.
that I didn't, you know, didn't want to do, but had to put food on the table. And yeah, I think I just, even though, there was those dark days, I have a lot of faith,
There it is.
you know, in God and that this was the path that He was pushing me into, and that I did have this inner strength in me, even though I didn't always see it. Other people saw it,
Yep.
and yeah, and then of course looking at those little people and those little faces and be like, okay, there was never a moment where I thought I wasn't going to keep going and keep pushing because you know, that's my job.
There it is. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
100%. I completely understand. I just like I said, I know. I mean, not only were you going through everything you were going through, but you were just starting as a real estate agent. It's not like as soon as you get your license, people are knocking at your door like, "Hey, Brooke, I heard you got your license. I need," you know what I'm saying? So there's going to be that hard path for a while. And you said 6 months until you even got your first closing.
yes,
So I know, that 6 months was definitely some type of, trial and error for you. So regardless of
yeah,
it, you stuck through it. You made it through the pandemic also. So congratulations. Got to
yeah,
tip my hat off to you for that.
yeah. That was a roller coaster. That was a
Mm-hmm.
wild time, to be in real estate,
Yeah.
and yeah, I love it. I do love it. I've always loved houses. My parents, one thing I didn't mention is growing up, my parents, my dad is an electrician, and then he
Mm.
started an underground sprinkler company,
Okay.
which everyone crazy in the late 80s because it's Wisconsin, who wants a sprinkler system, but they're the biggest business in the pretty much in the Midwest, and
Mm.
it's huge. Everyone has a sprinkler system now
True. True.
here. But my parents my mother loves design. She loves houses. So every 2.5 years to 3 years, we build a new house.
Really?
So I lived in 12 different houses growing up.
Wow. So I know
Yeah.
it was probably, I would assume you probably didn't have any emotional attachment to any of these homes
No,
then, right? Wow.
no.
Wow.
Obviously, and it's funny, they were always in the same school district.
Hmm.
So it wasn't like, I was moving different school. It was just, yeah, they love, obviously, it was a great way to make money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because how to do a lot of things themselves, and they built all these beautiful homes, and it was fun. But from a very young age, I was used to, okay, we're going to have a showing and we can't be home and don't step on the carpet. And, like,
What a
so it was just,
life.
yeah, it was just always part of my life. But I think, looking back now, I'm 44 and reflecting on it. houses have just always kind of been, and housing has been at the center of a lot of things in my life,
Right.
whether being at a homeless shelter or being on a construction site and being, 8 years old and helping to sweep up and collecting the nails because we thought that was cool. Yeah. so, so I think it was always a natural progression, but
Right.
up at the time, it seems like really scary and, oh my gosh, what am I doing? But it's really all about relationships
Mm,
and people and talking to people and figuring out what they need, solving
true.
problems.
True.
And that goes back to my my nonprofit public policy days. So it just all kind of in a strange way work together.
Yeah. 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 I mean, that's the universe just pulling you where it feels like you should be. This is your lane ultimately. I mean, your parents were in housing, and then you
Yeah.
you kind of got into it in your adulthood. So yeah, I think this is in divine order, as I like to say.
Yes. Yes, and obviously my parents love it because it's fun. I've sold three houses for them now, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're actually, I mean, they're in their 70s, and God bless them, they are building another house right now.
Never not working. I love it.
So yeah, but no, also fun for them because they obviously love real estate and
Mhm.
they love to talk about it. So now, yeah, we're probably obnoxious with because that's all we talk about. But
Hey, it's a lifestyle. I get it. You mentioned that you have worked with the family business for a while, about 15 years, just under 15 years or so.
yeah,
Let's
I
talk
mean, it
about
was
working with family. How was your experience working with family?
obviously at the time it was great. It was my husband's
Right,
family.
right.
And I was just becoming a mom for the first time. So, the flexibility was there. If I had to bring my son to work,
Okay.
my son was a year old when I started working there. And then 2.5 years later, I had my daughter. And, so it just, it was never an issue because I didn't work with my husband
Hmm.
every day, which is probably what, helped, even though obviously but, he was out on the job site
Hmm.
working with the crew. I was in the office. And Mark, my father-in-law who owns the company, he is, he's a consummate professional. He is, he's amazing at what he does. And it was funny. Like I always told people he was the angriest teddy bear you ever met because he's kind of this big guy and he seems real gruff and everything, but he's really, a sweetheart and, wants to help people
Yeah.
and he's very sarcastic and the two of us together, I don't know, it was just like this team that worked.
Nice.
People really enjoyed working with us. So it really, I can't say it was really ever an issue. It was probably an issue for my mother-in-law because again, at every family function, we'd always talk about work.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So that would get a little old and annoying. She'd be like, "Oh,
Can we just watch the game,
yeah,
please?
work talk." Um, but no, it just it worked well. Obviously things got tough at the end
Right,
when
right.
the divorce happened, and like I said, I'm still very close to you know my ex's family. Obviously I co-parent with my
Hmm.
ex-husband.
Hmm.
Yeah, we just we made it work. But really, I think it would have been different if I worked for my family's business because maybe
Mm.
a little more, working with my brothers
Right,
might
right.
have been a little more. But I think that disconnect of, my husband was out there, he did his thing, I did my thing.
Right.
That just, it worked. It worked, for the time that we were there.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, I get it. So what did you learn from that experience, like just in general, or what did you learn from that experience that helped you with your real estate career?
Oh gosh. I think, being in the new construction and remodeling field, I actually know about houses. I know how to build a house. I know what to look for in a house.
Hmm.
Not saying anything against my fellow realtors, but a lot of realtors don't necessarily know
True.
houses, and I think it definitely makes my buyers feel a little more at ease knowing that I can be like, okay, well, the roof obviously looks like it has about two, and this furnace, you know, this is the difference between having a boiler and a regular, Air Force furnace. And,
Mm.
especially during the last 2 years where it's been so crazy. And a lot of times you had to waive those inspections.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah. I really don't like, but you, it is what it
We
is,
talk
to
about
be.
that almost every episode. Do not waive the inspection, please. I'm sorry, I just had to throw that out there. Go ahead, Brooke. I'm sorry.
So it was really tough. So I think that I have this one buyer. He is adorable. He was this older gentleman, and he still sends me a Christmas card every year. And on it, he's like, Brooke, did I tell you that you said there was 2 years left on my roof, and I had a roofer come out, and he said 2 years. You knew what? And it's so cute and I'm like, but yeah, so it really helps. And then another thing it helps with is with a lot of my investor clients, I do ARVs, after rehab values, for them when they're looking to purchase an investment property. A lot of times they don't necessarily know, okay, well, Brooke, if I do these updates, how much is the house going to be worth?
Mm-hmm.
And, obviously every realtor knows how to pull comps, but it's a little more specialized. And you need to really know, okay, well, this is, if you put a new roof on, this is kind of the value it's going to add. If you redo the kitchen, if you put in an extra bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
So we do that for a lot of investors. And I also do it for my hard money lenders. When someone comes to them with a deal, I run the numbers to see if what they've brought makes sense.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because
So,
because you said that. Sorry to cut you off. Because you
oh,
said
okay.
that, I gotta ask this question because we spoke about this in a previous episode. Is it true that a home in a certain area, neighborhood and whatnot, you can do as much improvements on it as you want, but you have to consider a potential cap that your
Oh,
property could be worth based on the
yeah,
neighborhood or something? Can you speak on that? Am I saying that right?
definitely, definitely. Green Bay, obviously Green Bay, when it first became a city, is all focused around the Fox River. So, we have
Mm,
150-year-old homes all around, downtown Green Bay, and, kind of scattered around the river. And then as the city got bigger, we have all these outlying, suburban areas. But so for investors, typically, what makes the most sense to make money is kind of those older homes that are in the downtown neighborhoods. Now, for better or for worse, the school districts in city of Green Bay proper are not as popular as some of those suburban school districts.
okay. Okay.
You know, they, the homes are older. There's a lot of rentals, a lot of rentals that aren't taken care of very well.
Mm,
So, you can definitely make this gorgeous house and redo it. But if all the homes around you are only worth 150,
correct.
you're not gonna be able to charge 300,000. No one's going to buy the
Mm-hmm.
house. So it's a huge thing to look at. And that's another thing that investors come to me with. Like, the numbers make sense on this house, but do they really in, a practical everyday for regular buyers?
Mm,
This one house I looked at with some buyers last week, it was beautifully redone. And actually it was a new house because it had been not built by Habitat for Humanity, but a different charity
right.
about 15 years ago. And it was beautiful, just absolutely beautiful. But the home was on a very busy street in Green Bay, and it was across from a high school, West High School. And
Mm,
even though this home, anywhere else would probably be worth 300,000, it was more in the lower twos. Just
ah,
it is what it
just
is.
based on the neighborhood.
Yes, very
Yeah.
much. And I don't necessarily. other people will probably not agree with me, but I don't think there's a lot of bad neighborhoods in Green Bay. But there's definitely areas that crime is higher,
Mhm.
and again, there's more rentals, there's more turnover, and one of the interesting things about Green Bay is obviously we have Lambeau Field, we
Mhm.
have the Green Bay,
Mhm.
and I can see Lambeau Field from my house.
Oh,
And
nice.
in this area, you know, a house that would probably be worth, if it was more downtown, would be worth 150. People will pay 300,000 for it because it's by Lambeau, and investors get so much money on short-term rentals by Lambeau. So that's another thing. Like if a realtor doesn't really know about that, they could drastically underprice your house because
Right.
they take comps from within a mile, but even a half mile away, the difference in price is huge.
Mm.
So real estate is hyper local. You got to know the
Correct.
neighborhoods. You
Correct.
got
Have you ever got to a point where someone, a client or whoever, or was trying to add on to their home or their property to bring the value up, but they are near or at that cap within the neighborhood? Have you been in a situation where you had to tell them, I wouldn't advise this because it's really not going to bring much more value to your home? That's what I'm really curious about.
Oh, definitely,
Oh,
definitely.
wow.
Even even back when I did new construction and remodeling, there was times where you kind of have to ask the client, well, what is your future plan? Like if they plan on living there their entire life, go ahead. Why not? Make it everything you want it to be. But if you plan on selling in 5 to 10 years, you're not going to get that money back.
Correct.
That is something. And some people are like, I don't care. This is my home. I want it to be the way I want it to be, which is completely understandable. And in every neighborhood, there's always the prettiest house on the block and the biggest house on the block, and then there's less desirable ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, you really have to look to what is that person's motivation and why they want to do it. For a lot of people during the pandemic, I think that's why remodeling went up so much, is because people were afraid to put their house for sale because they were so afraid they weren't going to be able to find somewhere to live.
Mm.
No one wants to double move. No one wants to live in a duplex for 6 months and with their kids or live with their in-laws. So a lot of people went to remodeling and went to hey, I need a home office, I want to finish that basement, I need more square footage, I want to put in a patio and a hot tub and a pool. And so we definitely saw a lot of that.
Hmm.
All those houses are kind of some of them are coming on the market, and that's why we are seeing a lot more of remodeled older homes, because I would
Mm.
say there's a lot of new construction in Green Bay, but definitely the vast majority of homes are 30 years or older. And like I said, we have a lot of homes that are 100 years or older.
Wow.
So
Ah. Oh my goodness. Okay. Wow. Green Bay is definitely a different market compared
it is.
to other places that I've heard. And I want to dive into that a little bit more right now. There's something that was on your social media page. According to Brown County February real estate statistics, on average, most homes sold under list price, although inventory is lower than the demand. What main factors do you believe is still causing selling prices to drop, although homes are still getting multiple offers?
Well, um, things in Green Bay change fast.
Ah.
Actually just did a live video on this on my Facebook page because as a realtor, I like to show people the stats, but those are, closed homes. So those are homes that closed in February, which they got an offer in either December or January. When,
Mm.
you know, the market's always slower around here during those times because let's face it, holidays, it's freezing out. There's a lot of snow and there's just not a lot of inventory. People aren't looking. So since then, because I was like, when I'm working with my buyers, okay, oh man, now we're starting to see again, oh, where offers are being reviewed on a certain date instead of just, hey, we're looking at them as they come in. And my buyers are having to bid a little bit more.
Mhm.
And even I had a listing that went live on Friday and we already had an offer well above asking price on Saturday afternoon.
Mm.
So in the last 2 weeks, it is really just, the spring market,
Yep.
more buyers.
Yep.
Inventory is still ridiculously low around here. I think it's like 30% lower than it was last year at this time. So there just isn't a lot to choose from. And you're also dealing with those buyers who've been looking for 6 months or more, and the time crunch is on. We got to get a house.
Right.
I don't have a choice now. So, unfortunately, maybe they might have to buy a house that they're not necessarily in love with, but that's what's out there,
Ooh,
you know?
perfect segue. It's almost like you reading the questions. Because I got to ask you about this, Brooke. 3 out of 4
Yeah.
Americans say they had regrets about relocating last year, according to a survey by real estate brokerage Home Bay. The number one regret was a tie between not moving to a bigger place and missing their previous home. Now, I think
Yeah.
some of the other factors technically are controlled or controllable by their realtor. The realtor can either tell them, I think some of the other factors were like closing costs and think costs that just popped up that they didn't know about. I believe the realtor can help them with that. But
Oh,
other than that, how can you help prevent a client from having buyer's remorse?
definitely as a realtor, you kind of become, I get to know my clients really well.
Mm-hmm.
They become friends. We have a relationship after, the closing is done. And I get it. When, especially about a year and a half ago, when it was bonkers and every house was selling in 2 days and 25,000 over asking price, and you had to waive everything and give an inspection guarantee. I mean, an appraisal guarantee. It almost became, I noticed with some of my buyers, it became almost like a game. Like, I want to win. I
Hmm.
want, I want, I want to get that accepted offer because I want to win. And a lot of times I would have like we'd put in an offer, and then, the buyer seemed really excited about the house. I mean, obviously I tell everyone, I want you to love the house. This is
Mm-hmm.
a huge purchase. This is a big deal. And another thing where I probably am not in the majority of realtors is a lot of realtors will say, you show them 3, 4 houses, you got to get an offer in, don't be wasting your time. I will show you 25 houses. Yeah, maybe it's not the best, use of my time management, but with the market the way it was and how it's turning again, sometimes you just have to go look at a house, even if the pictures you're like, I don't know. I don't know if I love it, but you just have to go look at it
Gotcha.
because there's nothing there.
Mm-hmm.
And there is always that chance. There's definitely a chance. Okay, maybe I didn't love the pictures, but then you go see it and they fall in love with it. But yeah, so I don't I'm really not happy about this market coming back to the you get to look at a house for a half hour, and then, okay, you have 20 minutes to decide, are we writing an offer?
Oh, wow. Oh, my
It's
God.
very I really don't like it for my buyers,
Yeah.
but that's the market it is. I try to do my best to ease their fears. And I just always say, I'm like, listen, guys, if you're not sure, there's going to be another house.
Yeah.
I understand that, sometimes there is a time restraint. And okay, well, Brooke, we sold our house. We got to get into somewhere. And I know no one wants to double move, but I know a lot of great short-term rentals, furnished short-term rentals. I can get, buyers into. I would much rather have them do that double move and help them, find a great moving company and all of that than buy a house they don't really want.
Right. Yeah.
Um, and I've had 3 or 4 where we've gotten an accepted offer and they've said, oh my God, we don't really want this house. And, so you have to get out of the deal. And I've had that happen on my listings. And,
Wow.
I think that's what it is. It's all like a psychological thing where it's like, oh, I just want to win. I just want to get that accepted offer. And then, they kind of forget you have to live in this house. And
You actually have to live here. You be here.
so it is. You definitely, you have to get to know your buyer, know their personality, and,
Mm,
just, sometimes you got to talk them down. Sometimes you got to, ease their fears and just always tell them there's going to be another house. And, all the time I have my buyers say, thank you so much. I know we looked at houses for a year, but we finally found the perfect one. We love it. And, that's a great feeling. I,
nice.
I, and I love looking at houses. So maybe that's why I don't mind doing it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I never would want a buyer to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and then be like, I hate it here.
Man, wouldn't that be the worst? That is the ultimate buyer's remorse. That is like, oh my God, I can imagine. But
Yeah,
you, as a real estate agent, just explain how you go above and beyond to try to prevent
yeah,
that, though. And
yeah.
I gotta like that. Thank you for explaining that.
Well, you're welcome.
I saw something that says Americans are buying homes in Spain more than ever
Yeah.
before. This this really caught my attention. Let's talk about Americans purchasing homes overseas. How would you go about doing it? How did you get started?
Well, one of the great things about my brokerage, EXP, is it is an international brokerage. I believe we have agents and brokerages in almost 30 countries now. And
Wow.
EXP, it's a really great network. They make it really easy to, find referral partners, to talk to those referral partners. And, I've met a lot of great people from all over the country. I haven't met anyone from out of the country yet. I need some buyers who want to buy. So, um, but yeah, they make it just really easy for us to, go. We have it's called EXP World, and it's not for everyone. It's kind of like I think what they call like a metaverse. It's like you have your, it's where you go in, you have your own I'm not
Avatar?
explaining. Yes, avatar. You
Yeah.
have your own avatar and you like go into these different worlds and you can instantly like, be beamed into EXP Spain, EXP Puerto Rico, and
Nice.
I've noticed some of my investors are definitely, buying in places like Puerto Rico, Mexico, Belize.
Mm,
Yes, why not?
yeah.
Have, you have a vacation home and you make money off of it.
I know,
Great
right?
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that something that's complicated to get into? Like is the process similar to how it is here in America, or do you need to get citizenship first? Or I mean, I know we're speaking broad with, in any country in general, but just to kind of get things kicked off, do you know the
Yeah.
direction a person will have to go?
I'm not really sure.
Okay.
That I would have to note out. I don't believe you have to have any kind of citizenship to purchase
I don't think
property
so either. Just curious.
somewhere,
Right.
but I'm sure it is very specific country by country because let's face it, some of those smaller countries don't, just like here where they don't want investors buying up the houses for short-term rentals. That's a
Yeah.
big issue here. I'm sure it's the same overseas where it's like, well, we don't necessarily want investors buying up these houses that regular buyers should have a chance at.
Correct. Correct. I get that. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna dig into your personal life a little bit, Brooke.
Oh boy,
If you
here we
don't
go.
mind.
Let me have.
No, I see you started a program called 75 Hard. You say your goal is not only to finish the program, but to start your life again. I love
Yeah.
that perspective. First and foremost, can you talk about what the 75 Hard program is and why you chose to start it?
75 hard is something I heard about years ago.
Hmm.
And I always was like, oh, I should do that. That'd be amazing. But I just never was in the right mindset. And then a friend of mine, we have a saying together. I don't know, I probably can't swear in here, but it's just effing do it.
Okay.
Because he would always say to me, Brooke, you have analysis paralysis. Like I
Yeah.
love to research. I love to research everything. That's why I love, I always am digging into the data with the MLS and, houses. But, sometimes all the research in the world is not going to get you any results.
Correct.
So he challenged me to this, and I think I'm on day 57. Pretty sure. Thank you. And it's brutal. It's all about, because I think a lot of parents, and especially women, the first person we give up on is ourselves. You know,
Mm.
we give up on our
Come
dreams.
on.
We give up on, okay, I'm starting that workout program, but oh geez, the kids need me, and the kids this, because let's face it, the most important job I have is being their mother
For
right now.
sure.
But I can't be a great mom if my cup is only, half
Oh
full.
my God. I say, come on, please. You are speaking right now. Let's talk. Come on. I love it.
But yeah, and that has been really hard for me.
Mm-hmm.
Going way back to the beginning of this podcast, when I, talked about, I was always the kid. I love to help people. I love to, help the underdog. And, you know, I give a lot of myself. And, that's just kind of, it makes me feel good. I love to help other people,
Mm-hmm.
but I was getting, I'm burnt out. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Um, to be a mom, to be a single parent, to be, realtor, and want to be the best, I can be. And
Right.
then also, doing, nonprofit work. And then
Mm-hmm.
it's like, I want all the things. But then I was definitely kind of, I guess, not paying attention to my physical and mental health. And that's really the 75 hard challenges. It's extreme personal responsibility. And it basically, in a nutshell, it's for 75 days you need to work twice a day for 45 minutes each. One has to be outside. Drink a gallon of water, read 10 pages of a nonfiction book.
Mm.
Stick to, some sort of diet. It can be anything, whatever you pick, but
Right.
stick to diet. Take a picture every day.
Mm.
I think that's it. And like I tell people, because they ask me about it all the time, it's not necessarily hard to do all the tasks every day. It's hard to do it day after day after day.
That consistency.
Yes,
Yeah.
consistency, which is also a huge problem for me. Because I get distracted. It's like, oh,
Yep.
buyer called me,
Yep.
check the thing, woo, squirrel. Um, so that happens a lot. And yeah, so it's been tough. And the other thing is if you mess up, you got to start over again at day one.
So by mess up, you mean like if you don't do a task or if you forget a day?
Yeah, no, if you don't do your tasks one day,
You got to
yeah,
start from
you
day
got to.
one.
Yeah,
Oh.
and I mean, it's yeah, I know it sucks. I did mess up. I messed up on day 21.
Oh
Um,
man.
I was just having a day. It's crabby. I was like, I'm not doing my second workout, and then, let's face it, no one's gonna know,
That's true. That's
you know,
true.
but that's the thing. It's like, I knew. And that the other thing is I put it on social media that I was doing this
Oh. So
because I knew.
yeah.
I knew, Kevin. I knew I would, be like, you don't have to do it. But now I've got, thousands of people looking at this and asking me about it. So I'm like, oh, fine,
Yeah. Yeah.
over.
But
So I started.
that helps you though. Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, that was, yeah. I mean, it's been interesting. I think it's more interesting, like, yeah, the stuff that happens in your head, and like you start to realize those things you say to yourself, like,
Mm-hmm.
I could have that donut. No one's gonna know. Oh, and no alcohol. The other thing is no alcohol. And
Oh, say no, I'm joking. I'm joking.
let me tell you, I like a good glass of
I don't
wine.
say put
I'm
the
not.
wine down, Brooke. Put it down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it wasn't. I did it. Like it was. It was just like, okay, well, maybe I've been having that glass of wine a few too many times this week,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
that kind of thing. And I really did it for myself, because I think over the course of the last 10 years, I definitely lost myself a lot. There was a lot of, who am I and what actually makes me happy and what lights me.
Mm,
I was in survival mode for so long
mm.
that I kind of forgot how to enjoy life. And I know it's kind of a strange way to go about enjoying life by, making yourself work out twice a day and, eat a certain way and do all these things. But it really has forced me to look at a lot of things in my life and see what is important to me. And I, I, I think just that, yeah, I am capable of doing hard things and great things. And I can accomplish so much more than I ever gave myself credit for.
There it is. There it is. What a story of self-discipline that was in regards to that. Because just like you said, no one's holding you
No,
accountable for those actions. You chose to start and be a part of that program. You chose to put it out. You're choosing to hold yourself accountable to start back from day one if you mess up and things of that nature.
yeah,
That takes you can say you procrastinate, you get distracted easy, but that takes a lot of self-discipline just to still be aware or self-consciousness, either one. But
yeah,
I mean, you got to give
yeah,
yourself a lot of credit for that, Brooke, because that's still amazing. Before or when we get off, I do need you to, if you have like a list of those for that 70, please send that to me because I would love to
yeah.
look into that too. That's
Yeah.
that's pretty nice.
If anyone listening wants to know, you can just Google 75 Hard. There's
Okay.
tons. The guy who started the program, Andy Frisella, he has a book. He has a podcast. He's a really cool guy. Um, and then if you're gonna do 75 Hard, another person I recommend. I don't know. Have you ever heard of David Goggins?
I have not.
He is amazing.
Nice.
You gotta follow David Goggins. He is a former Navy SEAL, and he's just all around badass and
Nice.
amazing. He does use colorful language a lot, but he wrote two books and they're both amazing. And
Yeah.
he's all about personal responsibility and he's just been a huge influence on this journey for me. It's all about like, stop with the excuses, stop with the victim mindset because I
Mm-hmm.
definitely, I allowed myself to get into that, like, oh, poor me, I got divorced and oh, I have these kids all the time and oh, it's hard and come on, come on, like really, I have been beyond blessed in this life, and it's time
There
to
it
stop,
is.
being, getting into my head so much and being like, oh no, I
Yeah.
can't do this, can't do that. Like, why not?
It's human. I think we all kind of go through moments like that, but the fact that you're even self-aware enough to realize that you're even thinking in that mind state, you're like, oh, I have to take
Yeah,
myself out. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
it's like taking yourself out of yourself and looking at yourself and like, yo, I got to change
yeah,
that. So no, it's
yeah,
it's brilliant that you even have that mindset.
yeah. And it's just, I'm kind of at a point now. Like, I started this 30-day live Facebook challenge.
Mm-hmm.
The realtor Joe Brickman challenged some of us to do, and it's just kind of like, that I feel like there's a little spark lit in me again.
There it
Like,
is.
do all this. I can do all this stuff. What do you mean doing this stuff? Even though, and even doing this podcast, my first podcast.
Nice.
Yeah, like these are things I never thought I would do because, yeah, I was always, worried about, oh, well, how am I going to look? What will other people think? Like, oh, all the reasons, all the excuses. And now I'm kind of like, I wonder what else I can do. Like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
sky's the limit,
Yeah.
and I thought of it too, for everyone when you're in your 40s, you kind of feel like, oh, like, oh, the best years are behind you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no, they're right ahead of me. Look at me.
Mm-mm.
So
Mm-mm. No, I'm here just off conversation, Brooke. I'm here to tell you, no, you good. You're doing it. You have nothing to worry about. You look good. You're good. You're great shape. You look like your mentality is great. So keep that going. Keep that going. You're
yeah,
doing great.
no. So I know this. Yeah. And I think too, just to bring it back to real estate, this all is going, it makes me a better realtor for
There
people.
you go.
Um, you know, I'm just, yeah, I hope people, and there's a lot of realtors out there. Everybody knows their uncles, cousins, next door neighbor. There's tons of realtors, but I want to set myself apart. I want to hold myself to a higher standard. I want to be, have the best client experience for everyone. And, I think all this is definitely helping.
Nice. And it is. Like you said before, you doing, the self-improvement, the working out and the reading and stuff may not be fun per se, or subjectively speaking, it may not be fun, but I think I got it from a great philosopher by the name of Deion Sanders. If you look good, you play good. You play good,
Yep.
they pay good. They pay good, you feel good, and you feel good, you look good. And it's just a never-ending cycle right there. So there we go. I want to hit you with this quote, Brooke. I want to see what you think about this. The two most important days of your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why. Have you found your why?
I think, and that's a Mark Twain quote. I love Mark Twain.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of whys. I love adventure. I love freedom. I love helping people. I love solving problems. But I think really the why is just to keep always looking for it. To never stop with that self-discovery, to never stop trying to grow, evolve, learn. And I think that's really what my why has become. When I was younger, I thought the why was just, making lots of money and being financially stable. And, I'm going to be married and have my 2.5 kids, and I'm going to do this and this. And, I've definitely found out that's just not how life was, and life throws you a lot of curveballs, but, you just got to have faith and just keep growing every day. I love kind of this journey I've been on the last year of self-discovery and finding out more about me. And that, I think that's my why, is just to keep always looking for it.
Nice. I'm sorry for the laughter. You kind of, I chuckled at 2.5 kids. Like, you're supposed to chop one of them in half. I'm so childish. I'm sorry.
Oh, God. Because the average American has 2.5 children.
I know. That's what it's like. You have 2.5 kids.
I guess my dog is kind of have.
Oh my God.
I thought I was going to live, my parents have an amazing life and amazing marriage, but, I obviously thought that's what my life was going to be, married for 52 years and, look at you.
That was funny.
I try to also entertain, Kevin. I'm here.
Good job. Good job. Well, thank you so much, Brooke, for coming to the closing table. We had a very, very great and insightful talk before we get out of here. If you have any last words and or want to tell the people how they can reach out to you, please do so now.
Definitely. You can find me on Facebook, just search Brooke Baenen. I obviously have a page, Brooke Baenen, eXp Realty. And, if you are looking to buy, sell anywhere in the world, but mostly Northeast Wisconsin, I would love to help you. I think through this interview, you can tell I love what I do. I love helping people. And this was a lot of fun. And, I hope to, hear from some people with this, even if you just want to reach out and ask me about the challenge or my life or whatever. I love talking to people. I love hearing their stories. So yeah, all right. It was great being here.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for being here and joining us here at the closing table, Brooke. We appreciate you. Before we get out of here, I got to talk to our people on YouTube. You right there. I need you to hit the like button for us, hit the share button, and subscribe to our channel. And if you're listening on Apple, Spotify, or any other podcast platforms, I need you to do the same. Give us a like, 5-star rating, and also subscribe for our latest content. I like to leave our audience with a question before we get out of here, Brooke, something for them to ponder on. Here's the question. Do you think real estate agents should be more transparent about their commission rates and how they are being calculated? Let us know. Drop your comments below. Other than that, we'll see you next time.